Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the person behind Happy Puppy Truffles. Today I wanted to share with you guys another traditional origami. Today I wanted to show you guys how to make a traditional origami snail. Now for this particular origami you need one piece of origami paper. I'm using a traditional size of 15 by 15 centimeters. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with a square base. So with my color side facing down, I'm going to go ahead and fold into each of these sides in half, so vertically and horizontally, giving myself creases here to tell me where the center is. Get both of these guys folded over. Then I'm going to go ahead and have my color side facing up and fold in half diagonally both ways as well. Open everything up. Fold it in half and grab both opposite sides, push in until everything shimmies around and we can lay it flat to create a nice little diamond or square, which is why we call it a square base. Now if we turn things around so that we're looking here at the flaps that are open at the top, what I want to do is take this whole flap that you see here and we're going to do a squash fold here. I'm just going to open everything up, put a little pressure on the outer edge so that I can get this to lay down right into the center, and then just smooth out the creases on each side so that we wind up with this nice little kite shape in the middle. Take the left flap and fold it over to the right, and then I'm just going to repeat those steps on this flap that you see here. So we're just smushing everything out and down. I like to hold on to things on the side here so that everything stays together. These flaps stay together in the top area there. Get it all smushed out. And this time take the right flap and put it back to the left side. And then I'm just going to flip things over and repeat these steps on the back side too, so that I get all of these smushed out, get good squash folds going for all of these 4 flaps here. And that'll give us the shape that we need to work with for the next step. So get all these guys to lay down flat. And get it to lay down flat so we get something like this. Now I want to make sure that I'm actually looking at things so that I'm seeing stuff with the white area here. So you want to make sure that you've got basically 4 flaps on each side and this inner part here that you can see with those open flaps. But what I want to do is I'm going to take and fold the sides that you see here, and I'm going to start off by just taking one of these sides and folding in to the center. And I'm actually going to start with my left flap here, and I'm just going to fold straight in half down into the center so that I get something like this. And then I'm going to take this side and actually fold it in thirds. And this can be a little tricky, but you can kind of guess it. We want to just sort of roll things over a little bit, get things started, and then if you roll it one more time, it should be able to go towards the center and create a nice crease so that you get a third fold on one side and a half fold on the other. Now, on that side that I just folded in half, I'm actually going to fold it in half again, and this will give me an even more narrow sort of finish to things, like so. Flip it over, and we're going to repeat those exact same steps on this side. So again, I want the left side folded in half, and then folded in half again if you want to do that step now or at the end, it doesn't matter. We want to make it thinner. And then the right side gets folded into thirds. So that we have something that looks like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually fold a couple flaps over so that I can get to the other set of white that I have here. And this time I want to go ahead and actually try to mimic what you see underneath here. So you'll notice this side is smaller, so this side actually I need to fold in half. And then in half again. And then this side needs to be folded in thirds. And you can actually make this easy because you can see or feel the edge from underneath, and it should kind of go a little easier this time as you get stuff pushed over. So flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing again. So this time it's kind of backwards to what I was doing before. These guys need to have the right side folding into half and then in fourths, and then the left side will be folded into thirds. And it's okay if these tips aren't going exactly perfectly. We're going to be playing around with them later, so it helps sometimes if you don't get stuff too perfectly into the center, because we do need a little bit of room to work with stuff. So get something like this. Now I want to actually fold over what I've got here so that I can fold one of my flaps from the right to the left, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. So essentially what we should have now are the smaller sides that have been folded in fourths here in the front, and if you flip it over you'll notice it's on the back, and then you'll notice in the middle we have these bigger sections that have been folded into thirds, and those are just going to stay on the inside. Now I'm going to take those larger ones that were folded a third here, and I'm going to take a little bit at the top and pull it out so that it can become the little like antenna that are on snails. So I'm just basically kind of making a bird beak, if you will. I'm going to reverse this out. And it's just up to you, a point of preference of how big you want it to be, how long you want them to be. But we just get a little of that going. And you can kind of recrease stuff if you need to try to make it cleaner so that you can get a little bit of stuff sticking out there on the side. And I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to that flap over here, folding it down, smoothing it out, and using the creases that I already have to help kind of pinch into the center, put a little pressure here so that you can pinch everything in half and create what's kind of like a bird beak. And then you just kind of adjust the angle that it's going at here. And you'll notice mine's kind of a little messy there. That happens sometimes depending on how things were folded over. That's okay. You can have a little bit of extra kind of paper there. But that should give you something like this. And then I'm just going to take this top section here, fold things in half and tuck this inside so that the edge that I'm creating, I'm going to put this all the way in, right inside here. So it goes all the way in underneath. And you want basically what's the head of the snail to be equal to about where the antennae are sticking out a little bit. Now flip it over, do the same thing on this side again, just tucking this inside. And sometimes, like in this case, it's not wanting to roll very nicely. I want it to be able to tuck underneath so that I can get even to the other side. So I have something that looks like this. And then if you want, you can play around with your little antennae here and angle them out a little bit. I like to have them kind of pointing forward a little bit more if I can. But you should have something that looks like this. And there's really no front or back to this at this point. Now, the next step will help us decide the belly and the top part, basically. If I have it like I do now, I'm going to create a crease that goes between these 2 points of where the triangles are folded down. And I can kind of start things here. But I'm just going to fold it straight up. It doesn't fold in half. It's a little shy of that. But you do need to put a little pressure here as you do this so that it can be folded over. And then basically what I've got with this little tree section, if you will, this little triangular section, this is the part that's going to become the shell of the snail. And I want to poof it out and open it up almost like a balloon. What we can do is we're just going to pull on these sections of stuff, and there's 8 different little flaps of paper, 4 pockets, if you will, of air here that we're working with. But as we pull, you'll notice that some of this, as I pull in the paper, the center part opens on its own. And it might seem a little scary because you might think, oh my gosh, I'm going to tear my paper, but it really actually probably won't tear that easily. If you just pull gently on this, on your edges, you can get stuff to kind of poof out a little bit. And you've got these 4 sections basically here, 4 flaps on either side, 2 little holes, and we're just going to use those to help us as we do this. I like to get into the first section and sort of pull it down, and while I'm holding it down, then I can pull this side back a little bit to create more of the section that I'm working with. And with each of these that you do, if you put pressure into each of these pockets, you should notice that as you do this, more of the snail's section opens up. And it's just a gentle process of allowing all of this to become opened here. And I know it can be a little frustrating. There's not just an easy way of blowing air into it or anything. What we're really trying to do is just smushing this out and opening it up. So sort of pull on those pinching sections there as you work to get each of these areas to open up. You can see how I'm sort of getting it to sort of open up even more and poof it out more. And you should almost get sort of like an octagon of shape here as you do this. And it sort of just depends on how poofy you want it to be. You know, if you want it to be sticking up more. I like it when it gets to be a little bigger because I don't want it to be super small looking. But you can definitely sort of sculpt the paper as you're working to create this shape that you need here. So that it winds up looking like a snail. And it's just sort of a, you know, kind of a fun way to sculpt out the paper to create this sort of balloon in the back to serve as the back of our snail. And that is how you make a traditional origami snail. I'll have some more fun things to share with you guys in the days to come. Thanks again always so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.